नमस्कार, सत श्री अकाल, राम राम सा, खम्बा गेडिंग वड़क्कम, प्रणाम। आप सभी को ऑल नीट मीडिया में फिर से स्वागत है। मैं आपकी होस्ट गायत्री देवी। हमारे साथ जुड़े हुए हैं नरसिम्हा राव सर आफ्टर अ शॉर्ट ब्रेक, ऑथर, इंजीनियर, एस्ट्रोलॉजर। सर की एक वेबसाइट है जहाँ पे सर होम करना बहुत अच्छे से सिखाते हैं। कैसे आप अपने घर की नेगेटिविटी को दूर कर सकते हैं, अपने जीवन में इम्प्रूवमेंट्स ला सकते हैं, अपने स्टेट ऑफ माइंड को काम कर सकते हैं या फिर ज़्यादा अच्छे से चैनलाइज कर सकते हैं। और दूसरा एक और सर का एक यूट्यूब चैनल भी है जहाँ पर सर ऑफ एंड ऑन प्रेडिक्शंस भी करते हैं। मैं दोनों के लिंक अपने चैट बॉक्स में पिन करके डालूंगी, तो प्लीज़ वहाँ पर जाएं, लाइक सब्सक्राइब और शेयर ज़रूर करें। एक बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग सा मेरे दिमाग में क्वेश्चन था, आई थॉट कि आई विल गेट कनेक्टेड विद राव सर। हमारा जो शरीर है वो किसी ना किसी प्लैनेट को कॉरस्पॉन्ड करता है, और उसी के बेसिस पे जब एस्ट्रोलॉजर्स चार्ट देखते हैं तो ये बता सकते हैं कि आपको आपको किस एरिया में आपका बॉडी वीक है, कहाँ पे आपको हेल्थ के इश्यूज आ सकते हैं। जैसे जिसका, फॉर एग्जांपल, जिसका राहु की महादशा चल रही होती है उनको पेट की प्रॉब्लम्स बहुत रहती हैं, डाइजेस्टिव इश्यूज बहुत रहते हैं। इफ आई एम करेक्ट परियाना, बिकॉज सम आई गो थ्रू द सेम थिंग, so somebody had told me so. And if somebody has eyes issue, then which planet is affected, things like that. So Periana, the planets reflect our body parts, is it like that? Ji.
Yeah, that is definitely there. But the thing is, there are three aspects to see. See, if you know where you are vulnerable, suppose you know that your colon is vulnerable, or your intestines are vulnerable, or your liver is vulnerable, or your eyes are vulnerable, your heart is vulnerable, you can take precautions. You can take, you can be careful relating to that body part. So, knowing where you are vulnerable ahead can be helpful, and astrology can certainly help there. And I those who follow me astrological, my astrological work know that I advocate for divisional charts, not just the Rasi chart, but use all the other 15 divisional charts that Parasara taught, which need the button to be very, very accurate. But the thing is, for physical matters, Rasi chart is enough. So you don't really need a very accurate time. If you have an approximate time and you know your Rasi chart, that is mostly enough to know where your strengths and vulnerabilities are physically, because Rashi chart shows your physical existence, whereas other charts, Navamsa, Dasamsa, etc., show various environment, abstract environments in which your which are basically supporting your physical existence, like your professional environment, your financial environment, your academic environment, and so on. So Rashi chart is an important chart for seeing the weaknesses in the parts. Now, planets, you asked about planets. See, planets also correspond to different body
One
parts.
one question I would like to ask. Lagna chart is different than Rashi chart, right?
When I say
Lagna,
Rashi chart, I mean basically some people call it Lagna chart, some people call it Rashi chart. Parasara used
okay.
the word Kshetra Chakra actually, even though people call it Rashi chart now, he used the Kshetra Chakra. So basically, what it means is Aries contains these planets, Taurus contains these planets, Gemini contains these planets. That chart basically. So uh, you can, in chart contains Lagna also. You can take Lagna as the reference and see the houses, or you can take Moon as reference and see the houses. But the bottom line is you have a chart, a chart that basically has the 12 zodiacal signs and planets placed in one of those signs, all the 9 planets, and Lagna. So Lagna and 9 planets, all the 10 entities in one of the 12 charts. So that chart is Rashi chart. And here there are three aspects to see your body parts. One is based on the planet. Different planets signify different portions of your body. So that is one aspect. The other aspect is the actual Rashi chart. Aries is basically, see, the Rashi chakra. If you don't take any Lagna, you take Aries as first house, Taurus as second house, etc. That is basically considered the Kala chakra's limbs. Aries is the head of the Kala Purusha, and then Taurus is the face of Kala Purusha, and Gemini is the throat, neck of the Kala Purusha, and Cancer is the heart of Kala Purusha. Leo is the stomach of Kala Purusha. Virgo is the is basically the what is hip of the Kala Purusha, and then Libra is basically uh, the groins of the Kala Purusha, and Scorpio is the sexual organs of Kala Purusha. Sagittarius is the thighs of Kala Purusha. Capricorn is the knees of Kala Purusha, and Aquarius is the shank of Kalpurusha, and ankles and feet are from the Pisces, from the sign of Pisces. So, like that, basically, you have body parts of the Kalpurusha from the Rasi chart. And if you basically see affliction in a particular sign in the chart, suppose your sixth lord or eighth lord or Rahu, Ketu, Badhak in your chart are in a particular sign, that body part basically can be affected. Suppose somebody has Mars and Rahu in Cancer. So Mars Rahu combination is not really good for health. So if Mars and Rahu are in Cancer, heart problems are possible. So that is one way to look at it based on the Rashi chart. The other way to look at it is based on your own lagna, because people born in a particular time period will all have Mars and Rahu in Cancer. Not all of them are going to get heart problems. So the other aspect is Bhava Chakra, also known as Chalit Chakra, which is basically the chakra based on your lagna. So you take your lagna as the first house instead of Aries. Aries shows the head of Kalpurusha, but for yourself, lagna shows your head, and second house shows your face. Third house shows your throat and neck. Fourth house shows your heart. Fifth house shows your own digestive system, your own stomach, and so on. So you can basically take the houses from the lagna and then basically see body parts from it. So that is one aspect. And then there are significations of the planets. So you see that way. So you see the planet, you see the house, and finally you see the sign. And by combining all of them, you can become more confident. And here are a few thumb rules. One is our body is made of sapta dhatus, 7 tissues, 7 different kind of material with which a physical body is made. Human beings are animals. Any living being, the physical body is made of 7 different tissues. So they are controlled by different planets, and this is the list given by Parasara. Sun controls the bone tissue, and Moon controls the blood tissue, Rakta Dhatu. And Mars, he controls to some extent secondary significator of the Rakta Dhatu, blood tissue, but also marrow, the marrow that is inside the bones, bone marrow, as well as the marrow that is inside the nerves. The nerves have the thin material that is basically conducting the electricity, and that is how electricity is flowing through the nerves. So the marrow is basically Mars, and Mercury shows the skin tissue, and Jupiter shows the fat inside your body, and Venus shows the reproductive tissues. So basically reproductive material, and then Saturn, he shows the muscle, because see, muscle is the one that is working hard. Whatever you are doing in your life, suppose I am moving my hand, nerve is sending signal to the muscle to move in a particular way. The muscle is actually doing the work. So in the end, all the hard work that our body does is done by the muscle. And Saturn signifies the hardworking people. If you look at a society, Sun signifies king, Jupiter signifies the minister or the priest. Like that, basically, Venus signifies the dancing girl. Like that, Saturn signifies the laborers who are working for the king, the people who are doing all the work. So Majli is basically that laborer who is doing your work. So the bottom line is, these are the controllers of the tissues, and this is for everybody, irrespective of what your lagna is, what your chart is. And if you have a weakness to your Saturn, for example, muscle related problems are possible. Your muscles can become weak. So let's say, but the thing is, if Saturn is weak, suppose Saturn is debilitated in somebody's chart, that is for 2.5 years. Everybody born in 2.5 years has Saturn debilitated. So all of them will not have weak muscles, right? So that is one factor. Now you have to also look at Lagna. See, is the Saturn associated with the 6th house or 8th house? Because 6th and 8th house are the houses of diseases and suffering. So if Saturn is either associated with 6th and 8th house, he owns that house, or the lord of that house is afflicting him, then muscle related problems are likely for that person. And when will that happen? It can be in the Dasha of Saturn. It can be in the Dasha of a planet who is afflicting Saturn, who is the 6th or 8th lord and afflicting Saturn. So some connection has to be made. It can also be triggered during transit, when basically, let's say, the planet Saturn is transiting over that 6th lord or 8th lord, or 6th lord or 8th lord is transiting over Saturn. So some trigger will happen in the transit, and some trigger will happen in the dasha, and then that can start. But in general, that weakness, basically, if Saturn is afflicted by those planets, then muscular problems are possible. Muscles, there can be some muscle tear or some weakness in the muscles, etc. And suppose somebody has 6th lord and 8th lord together in the 4th house. 4th house is the house of heart and in general chest area. So 4th house is the house of heart. Suppose 6th and 8th lord are afflicting the 4th house. You can be concerned that some heart problems are possible for that person. Don't scare. If you are an astrologer and somebody comes to you and he has, let's say, Mars Rahu in the 4th house, and let's say Mars and Rahu own the 6th and 8th houses. Suppose Vargo Lagna. So Rahu is the 6th lord, Mars is the 8th lord, and they are together. That itself is bad. And Mars Rahu by themselves cause disease, and they are in the 4th house. So that person is very likely to get a heart problem sometime in life. And the exact timing is tricky. You need to look at dasas and transits, but heart problem is likely for that person. So don't scare the person. Say that, oh, you will get a heart attack sometime, you'll get a heart problem, but say that there is some chance of some weakness in the heart, so you need to strengthen your heart. See, the purpose of astrology is not to doom you. It is to basically caution you about your vulnerabilities so that you can strengthen them. You can always reinforce your vulnerabilities. So that is the goal. So for example, you can take something like Arjuna Rasayana, or just, even if you don't have any Rasayanas, just take Arjuna powder. Arjuna is a tree. It is a very good tree for heart. So you take Arjuna tree and take the bark. Actually, you don't take the bark, you buy the powder. Arjuna bark powder is sold in any Ayurvedic store in India. And you can also find, if you online, if you look for Arjuna herb powder or Arjuna powder, you will find easily. So you can buy it online, or you can buy it at a local Ayurveda store. You just boil it with water and filter it and drink it every day once. That can really help you. And then there are rasayanas made of that Arjuna powder, Arjuna bark, Arjuna tree bark powder. And if you consume them on a regular basis, it can basically strengthen your heart muscles, and in general it will keep your heart in a good shape, and you will hopefully not get the heart problem that your horoscope shows, or you will get it, but it will be much less in intensity than what it could have been otherwise. So instead of becoming fatalistic and thinking that, oh, this person will get heart attack one day and die, think that there is a vulnerability here. Let's use basically Ayurveda and other things. You can also get EKG done regularly. You can buy a pocket EKG, or install an app on your phone to check your EKG, and then you can also regularly visit doctor, and you can try to basically reduce your cholesterol, eat the right diet. A lot of things can be done, right? But in my opinion, if you have a vulnerability in heart, taking Arjuna, some kind of herbal formulation containing Arjuna, is the best option. It is basically the most effective option in my opinion. But whatever you believe in, whether you believe in Ayurveda or homeopathy or allopathy, you can take the right precautions. But you know that there is a problem there. And the other thing now, depending on you can also look at the gochara. Suppose 4th house has this combination that I mentioned, and right now 4th house is being transited by Saturn or Rahu, then you can be more concerned. Now there is a chance of heart problem for this person in general, and now we are actually in a dasha or gochar, a transit which is conducive to this. Suppose the dasha currently is related to the 4th lord, or the planet which is aspecting or affecting the 4th house, and moreover 4th house is transited by a bad planet, you should be particularly concerned. So you can be worried, and you can basically take extra precautions during that time. So you look at the gochar also. Another thing is, see, 5th house is the house of digestion. I mean, in general it's the house of stomach, but the main purpose of stomach is digestion. And also 5th house is the house of intuition, right? 5th house is basically the house of intuition, gut feeling, etc. So there is a lot of link between your digestive process and your intuition. Basically, they are very connected. That's why people call it gut feeling. So in any case, the 5th house, when you have Rahu transiting 5th house, it is 80% likely that there will be some digestive problems. 80% likely. I have seen in many cases Saturn or Rahu transiting in the fifth house, irrespective of the weakness in your chart. Even if you have a strong digestion in your chart, when Saturn or Rahu are in the fifth house, there will be some digestive problems. So better be careful. Better basically watch what you are eating. Don't eat toxic food. Don't eat food that is not beneficial to you. Actually, one note there. Ayurveda, in Ayurveda, you basically have three types of bodies: kapha, pitta, and vata. Kapha people have basically they tend to put on weight easily even if they don't eat a lot, and their metabolism is weak basically. Uh, and vata people, they have a very strong metabolism irrespective of how much they eat. They tend to be thin, and pitta people are in between. And in general, kapha tattva is dominated by water and earth elements, and pitta is dominated by water and fire elements, and vata is dominated by air and ether and space elements. So based on the chart, everybody has a certain prakriti, which is your inherent nature, and certain vikriti, the current nature based on the cells, etc. So based on your body type, suppose you are a kapha type person, you basically, those people don't like spicy food. They want bland food. But spicy food is good for them because water and earth elements are stronger in them. And if you put some fire there, that will basically stop you from, it will increase your metabolism. It will stop you from accumulating more earth and water inside your body basically. So you need to eat spice. But the way nature makes us is, we don't like things that are good for us. We are always drawn towards things that are bad for us. So kapha people tend to not eat spicy food. They like bland food. But spicy food is good for them. Similarly, pitta people, they have a dominance of water and, more importantly, fire element inside them. So the fire element is associated with spicy things. So they are drawn to spicy food. They love spicy food. But the spice will only increase the fire inside them, make them more irritable, make them more, increase more acidity, give all kinds of hyperacidity, all these problems, irritability, etc. So they better eat bland food. And also there are certain spices, like instead of eating chilies, uh, ginger, etc. Actually, ginger is not that bad, but instead of eating chilies, black pepper, you eat some coriander, uh, fennel seeds. Certain spices are better for them. So if you basically eat the right food for you, you'll be healthier. You'll feel much better. But what happens is, pitta people are drawn to spicy food. Similarly, sleep. Vata people need more sleep. They need like 8 hours of sleep every day. Kapha people need less sleep. Pitta people are in between. So depending on your body type, the right amount of sleep for you varies in Ayurveda. But Vata people tend to sleep less because there is a lot of air and space inside their constitution. They basically, that is very disturbing in nature. So they can't sleep very well for a long time. Whereas Kapha people, because there is a predominance of earth and water elements, basically stable and harmonious elements, they can sleep. Once they sleep, they can just sleep. You can't wake them up. Even if a big war is going on around them, they will be happily sleeping. So, and they tend to sleep long, and they don't need that much sleep. They can cut down on the sleep, and they will lose their weight, and they will be healthier. Some of the lethargy that is usually seen in them will be gone if they sleep less. But the thing is, they tend to sleep more. So when it comes to habits like sleep, eating, we are drawn to what is actually not good for us. That is how nature makes us. Otherwise, we'll basically find perfect equilibrium and we'll be very healthy, and we'll basically make a lot of progress. So nature designs us such that we are drawn towards bad things. So you can take, if you look online for Ayurvedic body type quiz, there are several websites that will give you a quiz. You can take some 10 or 15 questions, and after you answer all of them, multiple choice questions, they will basically tell you what your body type is. Of course, nobody is completely kapha or completely pitta or completely vata. Somebody may be like 60% pitta and 40% vata. Somebody may be 20% kapha and 80% vata. So it basically is, it's a combination of those elements, because these three body types are made of the five elements. So it's based on the proportion. So if you can diagnose what your body type is, the same websites, Ayurveda websites, will give you what is the right foods for you. What are the right fruits? Suppose you are a kapha type person and you eat lot of bananas, terrible for you. See, in modern dietitians and doctors will tell you this is good food, this is bad food. Oats are healthy for you, or quinoa is healthy for you, or foxtail millets are good for you. So and so thing, rice is bad for you. Nothing like that. In Ayurveda, there is nothing like this is good and this is universally bad. Everything is relative. What is good for goose is not good for gander. So you basically, if you know what is good for you, which grains are good for you, which fruits are good for you. Suppose you are a kapha person, don't eat bananas. Eat oranges, eat apples, eat other fruits. Suppose you are a vata person, eat bananas. Bananas are good for you, and don't eat apples. Suppose you are a pitta person, eat apples. Apples are good for you. Like that, different body types, different fruits are good for you. Different vegetables are good for you. Different spices are good for you. Different grains are good for you. So there are a lot of guidelines that are clearly given by rishis long back, and this is not somebody's speculative understanding. There is very well established science coming from thousands of years back from rishis. So what I strongly recommend is you basically find out your body type, and irrespective of where your which part of the body is weak, etc. You find out your body type based on Ayurveda. You find out what is the right diet for you. You don't have to stick to it perfectly, but you can basically stick to it as much as possible. It will make a big difference. I guarantee you, it will make a big difference. I know, for example, one young kid, he used to basically have a lot of phlegm in his body, and he used to basically in the morning he would just suddenly he will just sneeze and so much phlegm will just fall out of his nose, and he had wheezing, and they put a nebulizer on him. He was in US. They put a nebulizer on him. He used to struggle for breathing, and then I saw his chart and I told his parents he's a kapatatva person. He should not eat bananas. Bananas are like poison for him. Just stop giving his mother used to give him banana every day because she thought that it's a healthy fruit. It is for some people, not for him. So I said completely stop bananas. The other thing is he used to eat yogurt rice, curd rice every day. I said curd is like poison for him. For kapha, curd is bad. So don't give curd. If you must give curd, dilute it with water and make it buttermilk and give buttermilk rice. Also put a little bit of pickle in it, some spicy pickle. Instead of taking buttermilk rice or curd rice by itself, put some spice in it. So she started doing it, and they were carrying nebulizer everywhere they were going. They stopped doing that. They basically didn't have to use nebulizer. He became normal. This is simple change in the lifestyle and the foods that you eat. So like that, unfortunately, lot of things that were common sense for our ancestors, common sense for our grandparents, we lost that connection in the last. See, because of all the modern British jobs, British educated jobs, in the last 100 or 150 years, Indians basically lost a lot of common sense, which is very, very, very important for well-being. They lost that common sense and the connectivity, the connection, that basically the knowledge that came through generations, mouth to mouth. So, but the thing is, good thing is, internet helps there. So just search for your body type. Just take a quiz for your body type. Find out your body type and eat the right foods, especially when you are running a bad dasha of sixth lord or eighth lord associated with them, or when you see that a transit is triggering some problem in a particular body part. Basically, take the right food and sleep well. See, good food, right food for you, for your body type, and then good sleep. They are like amruta. They will really make a huge difference. The other thing is, eat when you are hungry. Don't eat because you have to eat at a particular time. This is the lunch hour. Eat when you know that your body is telling you I am hungry. Eat when you are hungry, and don't eat when you are not hungry. And stop when you are still a little hungry. Stop, so that because the feedback between the brain and the gut, basically there is a lag. So you will know a couple of minutes later that you are full. So when you are nearly full, stop eating. So if you do this, you will basically solve a lot of problems. Now for the remaining problems, you basically can use Ayurvedic medicines. So like I said, if you have some vulnerability in the heart, Arjuna can help. Like that, suppose you are a vata person, You just take ashwagandha with hot milk every night when sleeping. That will make a big difference. Ashwagandha is basically a good herb for vata. Similarly, suppose you are a pitta person, you can take setavari with milk. Or see, again, there are some standard Ayurvedic formulations that are very powerful tonics basically. So you can basically changing your eating habits and basically taking some basic Ayurvedic tonic, you can really help your health a lot. Now let's go back to astrology. Enough of Ayurveda. Let's go back to astrology. So you look at the sixth lord and eighth lords are the vulnerability in your chart. Sixth lord, sixth house is the house of diseases. Eighth house is the house of long suffering, chronic problems. So sixth and eighth houses are the major bad houses. 12th house also shows hospitalization or being restricted in some manner. So 12th house is also important. So look at 6th, 8th, and 12th lords, and particularly 6th and 8th lords, and see which houses they are associated with, which houses they are in. So those houses can be your problem areas. And one more thumb rule is, see, for the 6th lord, the house he occupies is important, but for the 8th lord, the sign he occupies is important. So if your eighth lord in your chart is in Aries, some head related problems are possible. Some brain related problems or head related problems. Uh, so be careful about those. And so look at the sign occupied by the eighth lord. Look at the house occupied by sixth lord, and also look at the house occupied by 12th and eighth lord secondarily. And the other thing to consider is Badhaka lord. There is a house called Badhaka house in every chart. If your rising sign, your ascendant or lagna is a mobile sign, the 11th from it is Badhaka sthana. Suppose you are Aries rising, then the Aries is mobile. So 11th from it is Aquarius. So Saturn and Rahu are the Badhakeshas. And if it is a sthira rasi, fixed sign like Taurus or Leo, then the ninth house from it, the Lord will become Badkesh. And if it is a dual sign like Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, Pisces, seventh house is the Badakasthana. So you look at the Badakasthan's Lord, and that planet can also give you problems. But the tricky thing is, if Badkesh is giving health problems, they'll be tough to diagnose. Doctors cannot put their finger, the test cannot reveal exactly what the problem is, so you will have to suffer more. So look at Badhakesh, look at 6th lord, 8th lord, 12th lord, mainly 6th and 8th lord. Look at the houses they are occupying, and particularly in the case of 8th lord, look at the Rasi he is occupying. Suppose he's in the sign of Cancer, 8th lord. So heart problems are possible for that person. So look at these things, and based on those, you can basically see uh, which body parts are likely to have problems. One more thing is each house can show multiple things. See, second house, for example, I told you earlier that it shows your face. It also shows your eyes, vision. So for each of those things, like vision, the karka is sun. So suppose sun is afflicted and second house has affliction. So most likely that problem is not a face problem, but a vision problem, an eye problem. So like that, you basically look at the karka planet and look at the house itself from Lagna and focus on the afflicting planets, and then basically try to assess where your vulnerabilities are. And you can use your common sense also. You can basically, suppose you had a history of problems with your muscles or problems in a particular body part, you can basically see if there is some vulnerability there, and then you can identify, okay, this is the vulnerability. Suppose you keep getting hamstring injury. So how do you see hamstring? Hamstring is basically part of thigh. So thigh is basically from the ninth house or Sagittarius in the natural zodiac. So either Sagittarius or the ninth house, the afflictions to it. Suppose Sagittarius has eighth lord, or ninth house in your chart has Badhakesh or sixth lord or eighth lord, then basically that planet is the key for your frequent hamstring injuries. So secondly, hamstring injury is basically a kind of muscle injury. It's one of the muscles. So if there is some Saturn link, then basically if Saturn is affected by some planet, that is another link. So you look at all the corresponding factors, you identify the planet who's giving that. Why do you do that? Well, that can be useful for remedies, because whatever I said earlier, like taking the right medicines, like tonics, eating the right food, that is one thing. The other thing is there is also beyond physical means. You can worship, you can basically pray. So suppose in your chart you are constantly getting hamstring injuries and you conclude that it is because of Mars, who's afflicting your Saturn, and also who's aspecting your let's say ninth house, and he is the eighth lord, let us say. So Saturn, Mars is the problem. Then pick a god corresponding to Mars. You can worship Mars himself directly. You can take a mantra of Mars, like Dharani Garbha Sambhotam Vijitkan Samaprabham Kumaram Sikti Hastam Tam Mangalam Pranamyaham, or Agnir Mordha Devah Kakutpati Prithivya Ayam Apangre Tang Sijanvati, the Veda mantra. There are various options given by rishis. It's not that one is superior, one is inferior. Different people have different taste. So rishis gave many options. So pick a mantra of Mars and chant it regularly every Tuesday or every day at a particular time, at the same time if possible. Chant the mantra, that can help you. And for Mars, you can also worship Narasimha, you can worship Hanuman, you can worship Kartikeya, Subramanya. So like that, basically, suppose you have in your chart, Sun is afflicted by Rahu. Sun shows bones, so there is a chance of bone problems. So suppose doctor also told you have low calcium and you are at risk for osteoporosis, then you can say, okay, it's because my sun is afflicted by Rahu. So that is why I'm getting, because Rahu is the planet of depletion, Rahu and Ketu. So I told you earlier, sun, moon, etc. show the 7 tissues in your body, Sapta Dhatus. Rahu and Ketu are basically depletion of all those dhatus. So when Rahu is with sun, bone problems are possible for that person. So basically, make sure that you are taking more calcium, you drink more milk, or anything that has more. I think sesame seeds have a lot of calcium, milk has a lot of calcium. There are, you find out what are the good foods to eat for more calcium, take them. If necessary, you may also take calcium supplements. So like that, basically you see where your vulnerability is, and you try to basically fix that vulnerability. Suppose you have headaches. It can be because of many reasons. It can be because you have a lot of kapha accumulated in your sinuses. You have a lot of inflammation in your system. You may you are highly inflamed. So that's why it's happening. The other possibility simply could be that your nervous system is too dry. Your nerves are basically very dry. Your nerves and muscles are very dry. They don't have enough lubrication. So because of it, basically your, that is the case if you are a Vata person. Vata people are basically, they tend to have dry constitution, because as I said, Vata is a predominance of air and space instead of earth and water and fire. So basically you have a lot of dryness in your system. So because of that, the dryness is what is causing the headache. So in dryness is, if the headache is a Vata headache, you basically try to lubricate yourself more. You need to lubricate your muscles, you need to lubricate your nerves. So basically taking more ghee, taking more oil, and also oil massages, that kind of things can help you. Applying a lot of oil on your head. So see, this is the thing with Ayurveda. Unlike allopathy, it doesn't say this is a medicine for headache. Take something as simple as cough. Suppose somebody is coughing. In allopathy, they just give you some cough suppression. But the thing is, cough is not the problem. It is the symptom. The problem is something else that is happening in your body. If you understand the problem, you can fix it. And just by suppressing the symptom, you are not solving the root cause. So that is the problem with the approach, the generic approach of allopathy. In Ayurveda, your cough can be because of multiple reasons. One is, if you are a kapha type person, if your body type is kapha, you have a lot of phlegm accumulated in your throat, in your upper lung, upper chest, in your lungs, in your sinuses. In general, you tend to accumulate a lot of kapha, lot of phlegm, lot of slashma, and because of that phlegm, you're coughing. Basically, your body is trying to get it out. Then the best solution is you need to melt that kapha. So taking ginger with honey, grated ginger with honey, basically heating basically kind of approaches will work. Whereas suppose you are a Vata type person, you basically have a lot of dry, you have a dry system, and the dry system is basically irritated. There is some infection, and that infection is irritating. So taking ginger with honey is not going to help you. It's going to make it worse. You don't basically then heat up the system. You lubricate it. If the cough is coming because of excessive dryness in your breathing system, then you basically need to lubricate. So there are some combinations based on yashtimadhu, licorice, etc. So those are more appropriate. So like that, basically, even something like depression. See the now astrologically, depression can be because of moon's affliction. Moon shows your mind, and whereas Mercury shows your logical mind, your thinking mind, your analytical mind, and Jupiter shows your wisdom. So all of them are different aspects of mind, but Moon is the actual feeling mind, the perceiving and feeling mind. So moon is the mind. So if Moon is afflicted by Saturn or Rahu, they are the Vata planets. Saturn and Rahu are the Vata planets, or they are the planets of gloom. Basically, Saturn is the planet of sadness. Rahu is the planet of feeling low or feeling cheated. So Moon with Saturn or Rahu can give you depression. So, but the thing is, Kapha person, if a Kapha person has depression, the depression will manifest as lethargy. The person has no interest in doing anything. He's basically he's very dull and lethargic, doesn't want to do anything. That's Kapha type depression. Pitta type depression is when somebody is depressed, his mind is basically beaten down. Pitta people have a lot of excessive fire in them, so they'll be angry at the world, they'll be irritated. When they are depressed, they are like unhappy, but they are angry and irritated at the world. Basically, they want to basically take revenge on the world. So that aggression will be there in a Pitta type depression. Whereas Vata type depression, there is fear of the unknown. What will happen? They are anxious about the future. More than lethargy or irritability, it is anxiety, afraid. So these three different kinds of depression have different solutions in Ayurveda. You don't treat them the same way. Suppose somebody is lethargic, you want to increase fire in the system. But if you increase fire in the system, Pitta type depression will actually may result in suicide. When somebody is really angry at the world and irritated, you increase the fire, it may even result in suicide. So, like that, see, this is the problem with modern allopathic testing. You may have seen news of various antidepressants being recalled later because they increase suicidal tendencies, because they don't put effort to basically make sure that their sample space, the people they are testing the medicine on, contain enough Pitta, Vata, and Kapha people. So suppose somebody does an experiment with mostly Vata and Kapha people. So the medicine they come up with may be actually poison for Pitta type depression. And then you may, when it's released into the field, some Pitta type depression people may actually take it and may result in some terrible tragedy. They may go on an attack in a school with a gun violence or suicide, things like that. So the bottom line is, I wish even in modern medicine, they actually understood Kapha, Pitta, Vata and basically balance all their testing on all the body parts. But anyway, going back, so in Ayurveda, it's not like you have a medicine for a problem. You have a medicine for a body type and a problem. So depending on the body type,
Astrology and Ayurveda are connected in short, like from what I can make out. Astrology, Ayurveda, and planets, they are all interconnected.
absolutely. See, if you look at Brihat Parasar Hora Shastram, he says Jupiter is a Kapha planet, Venus is a Kapha planet, Sun and Mars are Pitta planets, Saturn and Rahu are Vata planets, Ketu is a Pitta planet. Treat Moon, when he's closer, he's Kapha planet, and when he's emptier, he's basically closer to being closer to Amavasya, new moon. He's basically a Vata planet. So Parasara talks about these. He also talks about the signs, the Ayurveda type. In general, one fundamental point I want to make, Gayatri ji, our ancient knowledge was not classified like this as different things that are their own islands. Everything was a connected. Basically, it was just holistic understanding of your nature. So Vastu, Jyotisha, Ayurveda, Mantra Shastra, Tantra Shastra, All these are connected basically. It's not like they are independent subjects that have some subtle connections. For example, when you are giving medicines, for taking the medicine for the first time, you pick a muhurta. You basically see who are the weak planets in that person's chart and make sure that those planets basically are not affecting the lagna. Suppose your sixth and eighth lords are aspecting lagna in the muhurta chart when you are taking the medicine. It's unlikely to be successful for you. So you basically make sure that suppose your ninth lord and fifth lord who show your purva and blessings from gods and gurus, those planets in your chart, they are aspecting lagna in lagna in the muhurta chart that you are picking for taking the muhurta, taking the medicine for the first time. It is more likely to be positive for you. So you use in medicine, you use astrology, in astrology you use ayurveda. They are all connected subject. But what I strongly suggest is, if you are into astrology and if you want to basically improve your health, have some basic understanding of ayurveda. You basically just taking a basic quiz, understanding what is good food for you, what is good habits for you, like sleeping, how much sleep, less sleep or more sleep. Knowing these things can really improve your health. And one more book I can explicitly recommend is, there is a book called Prakriti, your Ayurvedic Constitution, something like that. I think you search for Prakriti Svoboda, you will get it. Dr. Robert Svoboda, he's a great learned Ayurvedic doctor, Ayurvedic scholar of astrology, scholar of Tantra, and also the author of the Aghora series of books, which is pretty famous. He wrote this book called Prakriti, your Ayurvedic Constitution. I believe that's the title. Prakriti is definitely the first word. The tagline I forgot. I think it's your Ayurvedic Constitution. So search for that book, and it's a very thin book. You read it. I made my children when they were really in high school read it. Basically, they were like seventh grade, eighth grade. I made them read that book, and they could understand. So that's the level of that book. Even if you are clueless about Ayurveda, astrology, etc., you read that book, you have a pretty good common sense. Basically, the problem is every Indian had Ayurvedic common sense 300 years back. Every Indian, irrespective of which Varna they are, which class stratum they are from, everybody had basic understanding of Ayurveda. They used it in their lifestyle and they were happier and healthier than we are. Now, most people have no idea, no clue. And this is very important.
Perina, last question.
Yes.
Mahadashas also have impact,
Yes.
because they are the predominant planet during that time. Just say, the way I said, I'm going through Rahu Mahadasha, so digestive
Yeah.
system tends to be more upset than normal people. So similarly, I think Mahadashas, Rahu Mahadasha, Ketu Mahadasha, uh, Jupiter Mahadasha, they also have a predominant impact on the body, right?
See, it's not only Rahu Ketu. Yeah. Yes. See, the thing
All the
is, uh, uh, what you have to realize is, dasas, they are controlling how your body is evolving. Basically, you are born with a particular body, but your body is evolving with time. So certain doshas, certain natures which are present inside you as potentialities when you are born, they manifest as you grow. Basically, at the right, when the conducive dasa comes or gochar comes. So suppose, see, Rahu dasa is not necessarily bad for everybody. Suppose you have Rahu in the eighth house, so then Rahu Dasha can be problematic for health. Depending on the connection of Rahu with if suppose Rahu has Argala on the fifth house, or he has aspect on the fifth lord, etc., then there can be some digestive problems in the Rahu Dasha. Suppose Rahu has some connection with the fifth house in the chart or the fifth lord, then basically there is a possibility of digestive problems. But in general, Rahu is the karka for problems in life, and Saturn is the karaka for diseases in general. So Saturn, Rahu, you have to be careful. But even Jupiter and Venus can give you problems. They are considered Shubhagrahas. They are basically really they are Soumya Grahas. But the thing is, depending on your own chart, suppose Jupiter is eighth lord in your chart, or sixth lord in your chart, he can give you health problems. So it's not that a particular planet is always problematic. Any planet can give you problem based on your chart. So if you are running the dasha of a planet that has link with the 8th house or 6th house, for example, lord of that house, or aspecting that house, or being in that house, or having aspect on the lord of that house, you basically, there is some potentiality in that dasha for health problems. So dashas are important. Look at the dasha, and you can basically see again. You can see what are the connections of that planet with the troublemakers in the chart, and then what are the signs and houses associated with that planet. So based on that, you can deduce what are the body parts, or what are the tissues that are likely to be affected. So see, for example, earlier I said Jupiter shows the fat in your body, right? In terms of the saptadhatus, the seven tissues, Jupiter is associated with fat, but also is associated with liver. Different planets are associated with different body parts. So that way, Jupiter is liver, because liver is important for fat. Liver is the one that is filtering your fat. So he is the karka for liver. So suppose Jupiter is afflicted in your chart, and Jupiter Dasha is coming, some liver disease is possible. So you can basically take extra precaution for liver. You can take some Ayurvedic medicine for liver. Simple tablets like Live 52 that Himalaya makes, they have some really good ingredients. If you take a couple of tablets every day after lunch or before lunch, that can help you. So taking some precautions for your liver and doing a liver detoxification every now and then can help you if your Jupiter is afflicted, or sixth house, because sixth house is the house for liver. So if Jupiter or sixth house is afflicted in your chart, then basically and Jupiter the is coming, or the sixth lord the is coming, or Dasha of a planet who's with Jupiter and aspecting sixth house, let us say, is coming. That Dasha can also give you some liver problems. So be extra careful. And more than taking medicines, don't drink during that period. If you are already into drinking, try to stop drinking, because it is possible that the drinking that you are doing till now is going to give you some liver cirrhosis or some liver problem. So basically, try to take precautions. So Ayurveda, astrology will tell you what basically your what is your nature, what are your vulnerabilities, what are your strengths, etc. And Ayurveda gives you tools to manage your vulnerabilities so that you can reinforce them. And finally, it is about your discipline. If you have the right discipline, you can basically use the right procedures, and you live the right lifestyle, and you can benefit. And this is where pujas come into place. Even if an astrologer tells you, this is a bad time for your liver, you can get some liver disease, so please basically take care of it, take these medicines, you may not be disciplined enough, you may not have self control, and you may not basically uh, you may still make mistakes. And if you do some puja, if you basically, the corresponding planet is worshipped regularly, it will basically create conducive circumstances so that you have some control over mind to do the right things. See, planet, people think that when you do pujas, physical things magically happen. So suppose you have a screw that you want to basically tighten. Puja won't help you. Screwdriver will help you. So like that, if you have a health problem, the medicines will help you. The Ayurveda will help you. And what the pujas will do is, they will create circumstances that are conducive to the well-being of that particular body part, or that particular planet's indications, etc. So you will basically be in a better state of mind to do the right things. Your mind will be under your control when you do puja. So everything has a role. It's not like one thing is an exclusive solution. Our philosophy in Sanatana Dharma is, there are a lot of tools in the toolkit. You basically use all of them instead of just picking one of them. But having said that, if you are inclined to do only one of them, at least do that. Something is better than nothing. But there are various approaches for a reason.
Very interesting, Periana, because when I was thinking about this topic, I did not think it is so deep and so interconnected. Astrology, Ayurveda, all of them are like, they're all forward backward linkages kind of a thing. It's
Yeah,
very
yeah.
fascinating, rather. Very
Yeah.
fascinating.
That's the beauty of our rishis teachings. Basically, they had such a holistic and complete understanding of everything. And unfortunately, The nature of Kali Yuga is to basically divide, make things different basically. Whereas their approach was integrative, combine everything, understand the links between everything, because everything is connected. That is the basic principle that they lived by.
करेक्ट, करेक्ट। थैंक यू सो मच पेरियाना फॉर ज्वाइनिंग। जाने से पहले सभी व्यूअर्स से रिक्वेस्ट है, प्लीज लाइक, सब्सक्राइब और शेयर करना ना भूलें। और अगर आप कंट्रीब्यूट करना चाहते हैं, फीडबैक देना चाहते हैं, मुझसे जुड़ना चाहते हैं, इन्फॉर्मेशन शेयर करना चाहते हैं, तो सभी के सभी लिंक्स डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स में है। सर का यूट्यूब चैनल और सर का वेबसाइट मैं चैट बॉक्स में पिन करूंगी, सो दैट यू कैन विजिट, लाइक, सब्सक्राइब एंड शेयर दैट ऑल्सो। हाउ टू डू होम्स प्रॉपरली, होमा घर में हवन कैसे करते हैं, दैट इज आई थिंक यू मस्ट विजिट एंड लर्न ऑन सर्स वेबसाइट। बहुत अच्छे से समझाया वहाँ पे, इनफैक्ट यूट्यूब पे वीडियोज भी हैं सर के चैनल पे, सो आई पुट बोथ द लिंक्स आउट देयर। थैंक यू सो मच वंस अगेन। इसी के साथ जय हिंद, जय श्री राम, हर हर महादेव।
जय हिंद, जय श्री राम, हर हर महादेव।